Good evening. Welcome to the Smyrna Town Council meeting for January the 7th, the new year 2020. As we begin, I'm going to call the meeting to order, and we're going to ask Chief Kevin Arnold if he would come to the podium and say our prayer. So if you would stand with us, and afterwards, Diane, will you lead us in the pledge?
If everyone would please bow your heads. Father in heaven, we take the opportunity tonight to thank you for all the many blessings that you continue to bestow upon this community. We praise you every day with our hearts. Father, we ask that you watch over the city of Hendersonville. Please be with the Hendersonville Police Department, give them strength. Please be with the family of Officer Bristol and give them comfort. And please be with the city of Hendersonville as they deal with the loss of their public servant. Father, we ask that you watch over all of the employees here, and especially watch over all of our citizens and keep them safe. And we say all these things in the name of our risen Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Diane. Diane, will you do the roll call for us, please?
Councilman Cole?
Yes, ma'am.
Councilman Morrell?
Here.
Councilwoman Peebles? Here. Councilman Short?
Here.
Councilman Sullivan?
Present.
Vice Mayor Atkins?
Here.
Mayor Reed?
All right, thank you. We'll move on to item 3, approval or correction of the minutes from the December 10th, 2019 and the December 17th, 2019 meetings. Has council looked at these?
Appear to be in order, Vice Mayor.
No corrections. All right, we'll take a motion on the minutes.
I move we approve.
A motion from Tim and a second from Steve. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Brian, correspondence or communications, any tonight?
Nothing this evening.
All right, so we'll move on. We have a couple proclamations we're going to do tonight for the awards and recognitions portion of our meeting. So I'm going to turn this over to Diane to read some proclamations. Diane, I'll let you read those, and then we'll get those presented.
Whereas the Stones River chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution was organized in Smyrna, Tennessee on the 31st day of January, 1970. And whereas the Stones River chapter of the DAR is celebrating their 50 years of service to our community and our nation. And whereas Stones River chapter members have volunteered their time and money to support programs for veterans, DAR-sponsored schools, local school children, and sponsored the annual observance of Constitution Week, Flag Day, and DAR Good Citizen and JROTC awards to local high school seniors. And whereas members of the Stones River chapter are the descendants of more than 75 Revolutionary War patriots and have focused their efforts to honor those who sacrificed their lives and fortunes for this nation's independence. And whereas Stones River chapter members have embraced the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution's missions, historic preservation, education, and patriotism by supporting multiple special activities in our local community, including marking the grave of a Revolutionary War patriot, participating in the Wreaths Across America project at Stones River Battlefield, supplying elementary students with copies of the Constitution, and donating books for the Smyrna Public Library. Now, therefore, I, Mary Esther Reed, Mayor of the Town of Smyrna, in recognition of their 50th anniversary, do hereby proclaim Saturday, January 25th, 2020, as Stones River chapter of the National Society Daughters of the American Revolution Day in the town of Smyrna. And further, I thank them for their service to our community and country, congratulate them on their 50th anniversary, and wish them continued success in honoring all of the nation's patriots. Proclaimed the 7th day of January 2020.
All right, and I know we have some representatives here. I see Linda's come in. Linda, they told me before you got here you were the queen bee of this, so we're going to have you come up here along with all that you have. Yeah, well, they threw you under the bus, so If all of you would, we'd like to come up and present this proclamation and get a picture with you guys and say thank you and congratulations on 50 years. That's an amazing feat.
We have 2 charter members here.
We're going to take you down here.
Where?
Yeah. And I'm going to let you tell a little bit about it, okay? You want to speak, right? You do. Where you're going to. So. You can tell everybody about what it is you do and introduce your group. Okay? Y'all come on up. We're going to get a picture of everybody. And introduce everybody here if you would first.
All right, I have Blanche Pearson, Ruth Hudnall, Barbara Smith, Sherry Smith, Brittany Stevens, and Roseanne Peppers, who did a great job on the proclamation, and Leanne Sandford.
Right.
And I am Linda Kazel. I think the proclamation pretty well explained that we do several things in the town that you probably didn't even realize we were doing. We hand out flags at different ceremonies. And then, of course, we actually do puppet shows at the library for flags. Flag Day. We're there. If you have an event that you might need us to come, just get in touch with us.
Great.
All right?
Thank you. Well, we appreciate everything that you do for our community to support our history and our veterans. 50 years is something that you should be proud of and being a part of that. And so how long, who's the longest standing member? Your charter members, so all the way, right? What, since you were 10? And Ruth's only 38 now, right, Ruth? So I don't know how you worked 50 years into that. Well, and so Roseanne, we know Roseanne well from working here at the town, and we know she's been really involved. So all of you, thank you so much for your time and commitment to the project. So I'm going to present you with this.
All right.
And Chief Bill and some of those paparazzi want to get a picture, okay? Hold that like that.
Let me hand it to these 2 ladies right here and get this picture also. Can you get it?
Feels like Hollywood, doesn't it? All right, thank you all so much. Okay, so Diane, we have another proclamation. I'm going to let you read that. I don't think we have anybody here. It's about our census, but go ahead and we'll acknowledge that real quick.
Whereas the United States Constitution mandates that a census of the population be conducted every 10 years. And whereas the town of Smyrna is committed to ensuring every resident is counted. And whereas census data is used for the reapportioning of seats in the U.S. House of Representatives. And whereas a full and accurate count of the population in Smyrna is critical to the town's share of federal dollars provided for services and infrastructure, including health care, employment, education, roads, and business. And whereas more than $675 billion in federal funding is allocated to states and local communities based in part on census data. And whereas the 2020 census will create thousands of temporary jobs across our community. And now, therefore, I, Mary Esther Reed, Mayor of the town of Smyrna, do here proclaim the importance of the 2020 census and encourage all residents to participate in events and initiatives that will raise overall awareness of the 2020 census and increase participation. Proclaimed the 7th day of January 2020.
All right, thank you, Diane. I think everybody may or may not understand the importance of being counted and how that affects even their local tax base. So as the next census is prepared, I'm sure our town has grown since the last one, and everybody's head count matters to your tax base. So please, if you are involved in making sure you're counted and you know somebody else that may or may not be, make sure they help us get them counted in the next census. Brian, you have anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, just a couple of things, and Diane did a great job of recognizing some of the most important pieces of the census, and it is something that's functionally done every 10 years by the U.S. government. One is the appropriation of the seats for our representatives in our legislature and our Senate seats. That's a very important part of. There is pretty good chance that we're going to gain at least one seat in the House of Representatives based on this census. The second part is the $675 billion of federal funding that is allocated to the states and local communities. We need to make sure that our count is correct to make sure that we're getting the proper amount of those funds back into our community. As you know, our community is doing a lot of work on roads and infrastructure right now, and that helps us offset some of those funding demands that possibly could be tax increases down the road. So we hope to garner as much money as we can through that federal program. I did just quickly, in 1998, when the census was done, the town of Smyrna recognized 24,077 people. In 2008, it jumped to 38,073 people. And in 2016, we did a special census that took us to 47,521. We anticipate that this 2020 census will put us well over 50,000 and probably closer to 55,000 people. And there's a lot of money left on the table if we don't get an accurate count. So we employ everyone to go out, make sure your neighbors are being counted, you're being counted. You'll get several different ways you can go online. You'll have a postcard sent to your house, and then if those two mechanisms don't work, probably somebody's going to knock on your door. So let's make sure we're being counted. Another opportunity that has come up with this is they talked about some of the part-time jobs. If you'd like to apply for a job with the Census Bureau, and they're paying, I think, a little over $20 an hour right now for temporary help, you can apply online at 2020census.gov. That's 2020census.gov, and you can apply for those jobs. So let's just make sure we get a good count and everybody get behind the census and make sure that we get a good, accurate count for 2020.
Good stuff. All right, thank you, Brian. All right, we're going to move on to item number 6, which is our consent agenda. I will read these, and we will take both of these together unless somebody on the council wants to separate them and vote on them independently. So the consent agenda is as follows. Approval of the terms of and authorization for the mayor to execute a contract amendment with Reagan Smith relative to construction administration and construction engineering inspection services for Zama Park. Item B is consideration of the declaration of surplus items. So I will open that up for discussion or a motion.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second from Tim. Any other discussion on the consent agenda? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. On to old business. Unfortunately, there was no old business to discuss tonight, so we'll move on to the new business portion. And this is our Planning Commission report. And the first item on the Planning Commission report is consideration of an ordinance relative to the annexation and R3 zoning of property located on tax map 32, part of parcel 1901 containing approximately .12 acre. This is requested by J.M. Burns LLC on behalf of John Mitchell Burns. Property is located at 3791 Rock Springs Road, and this is a first reading. Kevin.
Yes, Mayor, Council, this is an annexation and zoning request for a very small sliver of land. This was not included when the adjoining property to the east was annexed some time ago. At that time, we were attempting to avoid creating an island of the county surrounded by the town. With some of the changes in state law regarding annexation, as well as some interpretations of those state laws, this is not as big of an issue as it used to be. And subsequent to that annexation, we have received a sketch plat for this property to develop it, and it would include, they were including this 10-foot strip as part of the development, and it didn't make sense to have a 10-foot strip of land at the rear of several lots that was not in the town limits when the rest of it was, especially since it included a drainage easement. So we did, at that time, to recommend that to the owner of the property and the developer, which are one and the same, and they did subsequently did request annexation of this property into the town limits, and so the planning commission did review it and did recommend approval.
All right, thank you, Kevin. In a sense, it's almost a little bit of a housekeeping
That's
item,
correct.
so. Any questions for Kevin on this? Or if not, I'll entertain a motion. This is a first reading.
I move we approve.
Have a motion from Tim,
Second.
second from Jerry. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Next item is consideration of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property by negotiation or condemnation for the purpose of carrying out the Basin A8 and Basin A9 sewer project. Kevin, you got that one too?
Yes, this and the next two items are all mandatory referrals, which the planning commission has reviewed. The first one is for a sewer rehabilitation project in the downtown part of Smyrna. It's an existing 15-inch sewer line from Harts Branch southward to Morton Street. There are properties, even though it is an existing line and we are doing some rehabilitation, there are a few places we may have to obtain new easements because we might have to relocate the line outside the existing easement. And so this would be to allow for those easements to be obtained. The planning commission did review this, found it consistent with the long-range plan of the town, and did recommend approval.
Any questions for Kevin? Do we have a motion?
I'll move we approve.
Motion from Tim, second from Raquel. Any other questions or comments? Discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. As Kevin mentioned, this is mandatory referral work. The next one's consideration of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property by negotiation or condemnation for the purpose of carrying out the Sam Ridley Parkway and Weekly Lane water projects.
Yeah, this is as you said, a water project. Is to install a 24-inch water line along Sam Ridley Parkway from Jefferson Pike to G Street, and a 12-inch water line along Weekly Lane from Sam Ridley Parkway to 8th Avenue. These projects are required as a result of the water model hydraulic analysis. The analysis determined that a 12-inch line is required to increase fire flow along the Weekly Lane corridor, and the 24-inch will remove a choke point in the water system to provide increased water service to the Sam Ridley Parkway and Rock Springs Road corridors. Again, there are several properties where easements would be required to be obtained. The planning commission did review this and did find it consistent with the long-range plan and did recommend approval.
Comments or questions for Kevin?
I had a question about, so we're increasing the size of the piping, the water line? You said it's increasing to 12-inch, so is it, we have something small already there and we're just making it larger?
I want to defer to Mike on the specifics on this. Yeah.
Yes, on Weekly right now, we currently have a mix of 8 and 10, and we need to go to 12. Sam Ridley from Jefferson Pike, close to G Street, there's a 20-inch, and we need to make that a 24. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Mike. Any other questions? All right, if not, we'll entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Steve, motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Raquel. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 4, consideration of a resolution authorizing the acquisition of property by negotiation or condemnation for the purpose of carrying out the master stormwater project.
Yeah, this is the stormwater project, which we've been talking about for a little while. This would improve the stormwater flow, primarily to help the downtown area, but it involves areas all the way from Stewart Creek at Eden Springs East back to downtown. There are several properties, again, where we will have to acquire some easements in order to carry out this project. The planning commission did review this, and again, did find it consistent with the long-range plan and did recommend approval.
Comments or questions for Kevin on this one? All right, if none, we'll take a motion.
Motion to approve.
Jerry, a motion to approve.
Second.
Second from Tim. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. We'll move on to B, the Packaged Liquor Board report. There were no applications for the town council to consider, so item C, consideration and approval of the name Freedom Playground relative to the future all-inclusive playground. Mike?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Vice Mayor and Council. As discussed in the workshop last month, Rotary had recommended to the town to name the all-inclusive playground the Freedom Playground. They felt like it was fitting due to the three reasons that was within your packet. Visitors to the playground will be able to freely play on the playground. The name of the playground will tie into the Wings of Freedom Fish Fry, which is one of the major funding sources for the project, and the proximity to the Captain Jeff Coos Memorial. So that was taken to the Park Board at the December meeting and approved by them, and now is recommended to the Town Council.
It's an appropriate name.
Yes,
so.
sir. Sure is.
All right, any questions for Mike on this? Comments? If not, we'll entertain a motion.
I'll move we approve.
All right, Tim, motion to approve. Do we have a second?
Second.
Raquel, second. Any other questions or comments? Discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hey, Mike, while I got you up here.
Yes, sir.
Just can you update us on Cedar Hill Park?
Yes, a lot of the turf is down there.
Cedar Stone, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Cedar
Yeah.
Stone.
Yeah.
They are, I guess, probably 80% done with the turf. They're talking 2 or 3 weeks, weather permitting, to finish that up. I know they got held up over the holidays. Most of the punch list has been completed by the general contractor, and we'll start moving into the concession here over the next couple of weeks. And got to put a sidewalk around the playground that kind of holds the mulch and gives people another place to walk. So we're moving forward. All the paving is done, which that was kind of a major thing for us with the weather coming in. So we're feeling pretty good about it, and if we can get some weather to help out with the turf, that'll be good. When they glue that, it's got to be a certain temperature. Sand's got to be dry because it does have some infield material going over the turf, but it looks really nice. They've got the proper logos going in now, so it's really changing by the day.
If you haven't driven out there and seen what's taking place with that park, it's really amazing. I've seen some of the drone pictures too that have been taken, and
Yes,
it's quite a sight. I keep thinking to myself, I can remember when that side of town, it was just barren out there. There was
Oh, yeah.
nothing, and now
Right.
we've got all the Stone Creek schools, we've got a great new park facility, and
Yes, sir.
and so we're seeing the results of that as people continue to move to that side of town.
Yes,
So,
sir. We're excited about that. I can tell you, we've had several requests for tournaments already, which we knew that was
I
going to come.
figured that would happen.
Yes, sir. So it's a little bit easier to say yes when you don't have to deal with the weather with a lot of people, so it's going to be a good thing.
well, those schools in that park are going to be a magnet.
Yes, sir.
It's going to draw, so.
I was out there Saturday looking at it. It's beautiful.
Yes, sir.
It is first class. We are so blessed to have something like that. And
We
I've
appreciate
heard
the
that
school.
You've had a lot of people asking about using.
Oh, yeah,
it.
yeah, I think they're ready to jump in there. And the league, we've been working with the league too, so they've been helping with the layout of the concession, that type of thing, so.
It's really something to be proud of.
Yes, sir, I agree.
You mentioned the weather. How is that affecting changes at Volunteer Park?
Somewhat, but I feel pretty good about it,
The
actually.
park holds so much water. I know that with all the rain we've been getting.
Yes, sir. With the lake down, we've been okay. It hadn't been out of the banks, but it will flood. So being that's a core lease, they have the right to flood it, we know that. I anticipate getting the light poles in the next week or two, getting those back in, weather permitting. And then we're going to let the fence people come in after that. They've got the fence supplies at their shop on their yard right now, so they're kind of waiting on us. Matter of fact, they called asking if they could start Monday, but we didn't want to make it hard on the light people.
So the grading is finished?
On 2 and 3, it's pretty close, and we didn't finish it all the way because they're going to be right back in there putting the fence up, but it's close enough that we can play. And we top dressed it with sand, and we've seeded it with some ryegrass, just where it gets some green before the season. And if it doesn't come up well, we'll do something else and make sure it's good enough to play on. So we're heading the right direction.
Yeah, I went by there, and it's amazing the amount of change just by taking those fences back and the road that goes behind Field 2 there and how
Yes,
that's
sir.
closed. It looks a lot different already. So I
Right.
went by there. I was just kind of curious. It was kind of hard to tell where you were in the stage other than
Yes, sir.
it's in progress. So
Well, I think the staff will tell you, I'm ready to put fences back up and do it the wrong way, but they're trying to hold me straight and
good.
make sure we do it in
I'll have to
the
call Marty
process.
and Mooney and tell them thank you.
Yes, yeah.
Hold him back. Do it
Yes,
right.
sir. I'm ready to see it going back together.
Cool. Cool. Thanks.
Smyrna can really boast their parks and recreation system, their wellness, the fact that we have so much wellness activity available to
Yes, sir.
our citizens. The greenways, my wife and I got to walk on the newest extension during the holidays over there by Jefferson Springs, and it's quite a nice walk.
It
and,
is.
Along the lakeside there, the riverside, and so appreciate all that you guys are doing
Yes, sir.
to make
Well,
it a
we
great
appreciate
place
the
to live,
support
work, and
and-
place.
I got to tell you, it's a team effort with
Well, we know
people
that.
behind me
Yeah.
and volunteers. It's just a team effort.
Yeah.
And the support we get from the town is amazing,
No wonder people want to live here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Great.
Thank you, Mike. Any other
Yep.
questions for Mike?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. We're on to other, and I think Brian's going to take this. There's a couple of items, Brian, that you want to touch on?
Yeah, we do. We have a couple of things, unfortunately, that's kind of come to light quickly, and we need to move on those. The first one is Kevin Grigsby will come up. This is approval of the terms and authorization of the mayor to execute a contract with TDOT relative to Phase 2 of the Lowry Street project. So Kevin, if you'll explain.
Yeah, this is one, we received this the day after the workshop, so that's why it was not on your workshop agenda, so we do apologize for bringing it up under other like this, but we did want to move forward. We didn't want to have to wait a month. This is the standard TDOT contract, and this will put us under contract to initiate the Phase 2 of this project. This is one we received a grant, an 80% funding grant from the MPO.
We'll take that.
And so the total project is $550,000, but it is 80% federal funding. And this phase will begin at the end of Phase 1, which is Jackson Street, and then extend down towards the northwest to the bridge over Hart Spring.
You want to remind everybody about kind of what Phase 2 consists of, just
Well, at this time, I mean, the specifics, we haven't really begun developing the
Streetscapes
specifics
and-
yet, but we primarily will be the continuation of Phase 1, which will be streetscapes, repairing or adding sidewalks, potentially limiting some access points. We've got a couple of those locations in Phase 1. Don't know if it'll include any creation of any medians in this phase or not. Let's evaluate that with TDOT, but that certainly is a possibility. It certainly is a part of Phase 1.
I know that and Brian, you heard this when you came on, this council's really dedicated to working to get Lowry Street cleaned up and made to look more presentable. We've got the Zama Park there, the old Tire World's been knocked down, and there's been some old buildings along the railroad track now removed, and it's baby steps, but I think we're getting there, and this is going to be part of that.
Well, and you take into consideration the two TDOT projects, and as you mentioned, Zama Park, and remind you that in planning this past week, the apartments, the Alta Depot
Alta Depot.
came in, and I think that's going to be coming out of the ground pretty quick over there. So timing is everything, and it looks like a lot of things are going to hit at the same time. It's really going to make a huge difference in the appearance of that Lowry Street Depot district for us. I know Mike and I had a conversation, and we didn't talk about it while he was up here, but we should see the decking going on, the awning that's been added to the back of the depot probably in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. The framework's up, and we're gonna do the decking with our building and grounds folks. So a lot of things are happening very quickly down there, so it's gonna be fun to watch.
We've seen that theme continue to grow out onto Lowry Street now, and Tim, it might have been you that kind of hit the term Tennessee's Town or something like that at some point, but I don't know who to give credit to, but I think it might have came from your mouth the first time I heard it, and so we've been working hard and diligent and getting grant money and budgeting for some cleanup all down Lowry Corridor, and I think you're right. I think when some of these improvements take place and they all happen at once, there's going to be a huge appearance notability. You're going to be able to see the change, so excited about it.
Yep. We had, one point, we had talked about burying power lines down through there. I know we worked with Middle Tennessee and AT&T. I think AT&T was gonna make us pay for it. Middle Tennessee Electric was gonna work with us, but is that in Phase 2? Is that a different phase? Is that outside of the phases? What's the story
Yeah, I
there?
mean, well, we actually ended up, AT&T is bearing their fiber as well, and ended up not charging us. We kind of worked
Okay,
through
great.
that, so we are not
It's a
going to
deal.
pay for that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a deal.
Yeah.
so, but, yeah, certainly all that will be, in all the phases, we'll try to make that happen, certainly.
Any other questions or comments? We need to take a vote on this.
I'll move we approve.
We have a motion to approve.
I'll second.
And a second from Steve. Any other discussion or questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. We have another.
Yeah, we do have a second item tonight, and we're very happy to bring this one forward under other. And again, it was one of those that we actually learned, I think, Mike, this morning, the outcome of this, but we're bringing forward the state revolving grant loan for the wastewater treatment plant. As you remember, Mike and some folks have been working on that very diligently, and in phase one, we're going to be getting a $18 million loan at an interest rate of 1.3. The terms of the loan are 15 years?
30.
30 years, 30
Yes,
years.
sir.
So, Mike, if you'll go ahead and share the,
Yes, again, sorry for the late delivery, but we had a lot of stuff to pull together. We received everything this morning. So what you have is the authorizing resolution and the loan application documents. This is for the wastewater plant. As Brian said, it's 18 million, 1.3% interest rate for 30 years. The board will meet in February to give final approval for this, and we should receive the money or be ready to draw down the funds by the end of February.
and you do not have that in front of you. It's on your email, the document. So I
You
sent
made
it
it
to you about
select.
3:30 this afternoon once we finalized it, so I apologize.
Well, we'll take action on this as well. Any questions for Mike? Thank you, Mike. Have a motion?
Do we approve?
Jerry's made a motion. Any second?
Second.
Tim? Any other discussion or questions? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, that is all of other status reports.
Nothing at this time.
Nothing to give. All right, announcements. Diane, anybody? Brian, I know you probably have some.
Hang on just a minute. You have an announcement.
Mike has an announcement.
Sorry, thank you. Per the auditor's requirements, I have two announcements. One for an emergency purchase, which was also sole source. It's for a channel monster at the 1R lift station.
What is a channel monster?
It grinds up all the grease, any particulate matter.
Sounded like
cuts
an
it down.
animal. I was just
Yeah, the existing one had been in there for 37 years, and it kind of is an animal. Been in there for 37 years, can't repair it, so we need to replace it. This is the lift station that Nissan feeds into, so that would be from Franklin Miller. The cost is $41,837. The other one is a sole source also, only. It is a capital budget project. It's a raw water pump. We upgraded the raw water pump at Station 1. It's pump number 1. By doing this, we're able to push off upgrading raw water lift Station 2, which is at a much higher cost. So that is a capital budget item. The cost of the pump was $177,114, and that was from Guthrie Sales and Service.
All right. Thank you, Mike.
Yes, sir.
Now, Brian.
Yes, I have a couple of announcements, and just very quickly, I want to remind everyone that Town Hall will be closed on Monday, January the 20th, for observance of the Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So Town Hall will be closed on, and all business of the town, with the exception of safety and, again, public safety and water and sewer. Of course, we'll have people working, but Town Hall offices will be closed on Monday, January the 20th. Remind everyone, Christmas tree drop-off, it's that time of the year. We're starting to see the trees come down, and just want to remind everybody, if you're ready to say goodbye to your live Christmas tree, take all the decorations off and drop the tree off at Lee Victory Park at the football field area. Smyrna Parks and Recreation will mulch it and use it in existing and future trails. So we're going to make good use of those trees. So if you're looking for a place to get rid of those trees, bring them by through January the 19th will be the last day. That's located at 110 Sam Ridley Parkway East. Follow the signs back to the parking area next to the football fields. Next, Lifetime Services and Volunteer of the Year Banquet, Friday, February the 21st. That'll be located at the Smyrna Event Center. Dinner at 6:30, and the awards will follow at 7 p.m. Tickets can be purchased at the Smyrna Parks office or at the door for $10 that night. But you might want to get your tickets early, and you might want to arrive early. Last year was my first time to enjoy this event, and it was it was packed.
A big crowd.
We get a good crowd, and it's going to be another good year for this event. So the Lifetime Service and Volunteer of the Year banquet, that again is on February the 21st, and get your tickets early. At this point, the only other two things I'd like to offer up is we do have a couple of condolences I would like to remind you of. Assistant Chief James Lawrence at the Fire Department lost his father over the holidays. John W. Lawrence Sr. Was able to go by the funeral home the day of the funeral and visit with the family, and they seem to be doing well. But anytime you suffer a loss of a father or a mother, some of us know that emptiness, and I think they would probably covet our prayers continually for that family. Also, condolences to Jenny Davis, who works in our Treasury Department. Her father passed away also over the holidays, John William Monroe Leach. And also, for Jenny, it was kind of a little bit of a double whammy. Her husband had 5 bypasses a couple of days after her father's passing. So I know that visited with her a little bit since she's been back to work. And again, you know, we do what we have to get through those times in our life, but I know they would cover our prayers and a kind word as you're out and about if you run into them. So did want to share those with you. That's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Brian. Council? You have anything to announce tonight? Nothing? No. Okay.
Miss Diane?
She told me no.
She said no?
I have nothing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you had tracked down some more business
Thank
license
you for
people.
thank you for looking after her.
Not lately.
Okay. Actually, I just want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and just sitting here listening to all the things that Smyrna has going on, I'm very excited for 2020 for the town of Smyrna. And just to reiterate that I think we live in a very blessed town, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
I agree. Well said. Mr. Cole?
My condolences to many people this week. One that I'm sure that nobody else will probably mention today was Beverly McCall, who was a longtime supporter of the soccer organization here in town. She served in many different capacities throughout the league, and I believe she passed over the weekend and services were today, but she was very well thought of within the soccer community. And that's all I've got.
Thank you. Tim?
Just to tag on with Raquel and wish everybody a happy, safe, and blessed 2020.
Okay. And all you got?
Yep,
That's it?
that's it.
Jerry?
Nothing really either. I was going to mention about the park going over there, but I've already talked about that. So just like they said, Happy New Year, and
Welcome back
look
from
forward
vacation,
to
by the way.
Thank you. It was we had a great time.
You and Patty enjoyed some free time, didn't you?
We did. We had a great time. She got to see some whales. That was on her bucket list, so she got to see whales. So that was it was worth it.
Yeah. Steve?
I heard they changed the locks on all the town bathrooms while you're gone.
No.
That's cruel.
I want to check the key.
All right. Well, it worked the last
Crowbar.
time.
Same as everybody else, Happy New Year. I would also like to add some condolences. My longtime neighbor, Art Quinnett, passed away December 31st of '92. So Betty Lou and Diane, the grandkids, happen to be named Kevin and Stephanie, the same as my kids. To all the family, you're in our prayers and thoughts. And Art was a great guy. He moved in next to me somewhere between 10 and 15 years ago.
And he stayed there.
And he stayed.
Yeah.
That's amazing by itself. But I borrowed a lot of tools from him. He was one of the guys that could always do anything.
Yeah.
So when I wanted to know how to make a dovetail without a dovetail jig, he knew how to do that. You know, he knew everything. Anytime you needed to know something, you go over and ask him, and he was just a really good tinkerer with his hands and taught me a lot. So
Did he make you give a tools back?
he did. He kept track of them pretty well. But he had tools I didn't have, so I was always borrowing. But yeah, he'll be greatly missed, and glad to hear that Betty Lou's going to stay next door. So we're going to help look out for her since she'll be there by herself. But we're glad to hear that she'll still be our neighbor.
Thanks, Steve. And before I do the announcements, I'll kind of tag on to that. This holiday season seems to be a time that a lot of people lost loved ones, and a lot of mothers and fathers and brothers and sisters. And so I was thinking about that today as I attended a funeral today. But all in the past couple of weeks, Faye Hubbard, we talked about her getting better. She passed away. And Myra Huggins, which is Mark, Kent, and Wayne's mother, she passed away. Carol Easterling's mother passed away. You all know Doug and Carol Easterling pretty well. Her name was Shinzo Bellamy. I saw today where Lou Oliphant passed away. That is Risha and Ed's mother. Virginia Neal is the one we went to the cemetery with today. And she was a very nice lady, and I've known her and her family a lot of years. I also got word, if you don't know Barry Cooper, Claude, his father, if you know Claude Cooper, Claude passed away this morning, or maybe late last night. And so we went to school with Barry and Lisa, and that's their father. And so remembering those families, Assistant Chief Lawrence's father's been mentioned. Chief, when he prayed a little while ago, mentioned Spencer Bristol and Hendersonville. We want to continue to remember that family in our prayers. That's a loss for their community. And those that you guys have mentioned, Jenny here at Town Hall, and Beverly today she mentioned. So a lot of loss, and just kind of remember all these people. Your neighbor, just kind of
Miss
remember.
Ernestine Clark also passed away. She's a long-time
Ernestine
Smyrna.
Clark.
Sure enough.
So just, it's a season of happiness and joy for a lot of families, but it seems like it's been a hard holiday season for a lot of families too, so we'll continue to remember.
Lost his brother.
Sorry?
Robert Mullins lost his brother, right?
Did he?
Roy.
Roy passed away?
Boy passed away.
I saw him today and he didn't mention it. When did that happen? Do you know?
Thought it was yesterday.
Okay, well, he just didn't mention it, but anyway, prayers and condolences to all those families we just mentioned. I'm sure there's more, there's many we don't know about, that we want to make sure we continue to think about those people who've lost loved ones. All right, so I've got a few announcements in addition to that. Martin Luther King Jr. Day is at the SOAC Center, Monday, January the 20th. This Monday, the SOAC will open from 10 till 4 p.m. with climbing, hands-on programs, and activities for your day out of school. Locations at the SOAC Center at 100 Sam Ridley, down across from the airport in the golf course area. Time 10 to 4. The regular SOAC admission fee applies. All ages are welcome. Contact Courtney Morgan at thetownofsmyrna.org. That's Courtney.Morgan@townofsmyrna.org for more information. Also, we have the Frozen Winter Celebration Friday, January 24th. Enjoy the frozen winter season with this epic celebration at the SOAC. Make snow with your favorite characters, sing, dance, Tim. Make a take-home craft and frozen experiments. Costumes are encouraged, Tim. Also get a chance to meet and greet with the Chick-fil-A cow and eat yummy chicken supper. Access to the SOAC exhibit hall and adventure zones included with the program. That is also located at the same one we just mentioned across from the airport and the golf course there at 100 Sam Ridley at the SOAC Center. Time from 5 to 8 p.m. Cost is $12. That's an all-age category. Registration is required on a community pass by the 17th. Contact Miranda.Hewitt@townofsmyrna.org for more information. And the last announcement is the 2020 Top Gun Run Night. I know if the mayor were here, she'd be excited about this. We all are too. The date for the run is scheduled for Friday, May 29th at 8 p.m. Registration is now open at townofsmyrna.org/Top Gun Night Run. So if you want to register for that, simply go on that website. You can register now. It filled up last year pretty quickly. We had some people who did this in an honest way. We had some other people that probably cut a few corners, but nonetheless, they know who we're talking about. We're going to watch them closely at the next run. So that's all I have for announcements. Any others?
I have a question.
Sure.
Mike, when does the dinosaur exhibit start at the SOAC?
I think it's the 25th.
Of this month?
Yes, I brought the newsletter just in case.
Yeah. My daughter and her husband just recently moved back to Smyrna, and they have two small children, and they are really taking advantage of the SOAC over there. They absolutely love it. And
What's not to love? I mean, really, for children especially, with all the exhibits and the summertime pool
The events.
activity and,
And the events, they
Events.
constantly have something.
and we just read 2 or 3 events that have taken place over there. So We are getting our mileage out of the SOAC Center, there's no doubt about it. Did you have a specific dinosaur you wanted to see, HG, or?
I'm a T-Rex sort of guy.
I knew you were. I remember you,
I saw him do an interpretive dance one time, and you know, I've ever seen.
T-Rex or Tim?
Well, I'm not sure which one it was.
I think I'm sitting beside the only dinosaur.
Okay, I guess I probably need to start wrapping this up. All right, is there any other items to be brought before the council? All right, if not, we are adjourned. Thank you.
November.